And God bless Tarrant County. The biggest, reddest county and the biggest, reddest state in the Union. We're going to. Oh, we love Dallas County too, and we need Tarrant County to be side by side with Tarrant County and them both to be bright, bright red. We're living in extraordinary times. We're accomplishing enormous victories for the people of Texas. And yet every one of those victories is in jeopardy. The economy's booming, people's lives are better, and yet there are forces that want to turn us around and turn everything back. This election is about what course America takes, what road we travel, what course Texas takes, and what road we travel.
The high road.
Always a good choice. And there is no race in the country with a starker divide between the candidates than the U.S. Senate race here in the state of Texas. 6 years ago, I promised the people of Texas, if you elected me, I would fight every day for lower taxes, less regulations, more jobs, to secure the border, to defend the Constitution, and to defend the Bill of Rights. And every day since then, I've kept that promise. Beto O'Rourke's record on every issue that matters to Texans is wrong for Texas. So let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about substance. And we'll start with taxes. I've been proud to work hand in hand with the president, with my colleagues in Congress, and we passed the biggest tax cut in a generation. We cut taxes on small businesses. We cut taxes on farmers and ranchers. We doubled the child tax credit from $1,000 per child per year to $2,000 per child per year. That's real money in the pockets of hardworking Texans. Or as Nancy Pelosi calls it, crumbs. So where's Beto O'Rourke on taxes? Well, he's against crumbs. He wants higher taxes. He voted against the tax cut. He voted against making your individual tax cut permanent. And he has been very candid. He wants to raise your taxes. He thinks he knows better how to spend your hard-earned money than you know. And you know, he's got a long record of voting for tax increases over and over and over again, not just in Congress. When he was in the El Paso City Council, he voted over and over again for property tax increases. Not only that, he voted for something called a rain tax. I don't even know what that is. But here in Texas, we celebrate when it rains. We don't tax you for it. On regulations, I've been proud to work hand in hand with the president, with the administration, to repeal job-killing regulations that were hammering the state of Texas, hammering oil and gas, hammering farmers and ranchers and ag. And as a result of repealing job-killing regulations and cutting taxes, the Texas economy is booming. Right now today, the state of Texas is producing 33% more oil than we produced in 2016. Right now today, the United States has become the #1 producer of oil in the world. Nationally, the unemployment levels are at the lowest level in 49 years. The last time unemployment was this low was December of 1969. I was born in December of 1970. That means I have never breathed a breath of air on planet Earth with unemployment as low as it is right now today. And when you break down the demographics, it's even more compelling. Right now today, African American unemployment is at the lowest rate ever recorded. Right now, Hispanic unemployment is at the lowest rate ever recorded. Right now, unemployment for women is at the lowest rate in 70 years. And young people, we got a lot of young people here today. Youth unemployment is at the lowest rate in 52 years. Just today, we got new jobs numbers. In the month of October, 250,000 additional new jobs were created. Here are the gains we saw in the healthcare industry: 36,000 additional new jobs just last month. In manufacturing, 32,000 additional new jobs just last month. In construction, 30,000 additional new jobs just last month. In transportation, 25,000 additional new jobs just last month. And in the year 2018, hourly wages are up 3.1%. And the state with the greatest increase in family income is the great state of Texas. At the end of the day, none of this is rocket science. When you cut taxes, when you simplify the tax code, when you repeal job-killing regulations, small businesses grow and prosper. They hire more people, and the state of Texas does great. But I will say this, if it ain't rocket science, we're certainly not going to be hiring Washington Democrats at NASA anytime soon. Because they don't seem to be able to understand any of this. Whereas Beto on job-killing regulations, he wants more of them. He wants to bring back the Obama-era regulations that hammered the state of Texas, that hammered oil and gas, that hammered farmers and ranchers. Beto O'Rourke voted in favor of a $10 a barrel tax on every barrel of oil produced in the state of Texas. Now look, that is a great vote if you're raising money in San Francisco. They'll pour you extra Chardonnay for that vote. But that is a terrible vote if you actually care about jobs in the great state of Texas. Because there are millions of jobs across this state that depend directly or indirectly on the energy sector. You've got everyone who works in energy, but then all of them, they go out, they buy cars and trucks. Actually, just trucks. They buy houses, they go to restaurants, they get health care, they go to doctors, they give to their churches, they give to charities, they give to schools, they pay taxes, which funds our police officers and our firefighters, and they generate hundreds of millions of dollars for our public universities. If you care about jobs in the state of Texas, you want the energy industry thriving. And yet Beto O'Rourke has voted over and over and over again, not just a $10 barrel tax on oil. He's voted repeatedly on carbon taxes, which would hammer the energy industry. He's voted for aggressive federal regulation of fracking, which would shut down the shale revolution that we're seeing right now. He's voted for aggressive federal regulation of the exports of LNG, liquid natural gas. It's almost as if someone asked, okay, what industries produce jobs in Texas? All right, Beto, you're against those. Beto is a leading defender of Obama's Paris Climate Accord, which would have cost thousands of jobs in the state of Texas. I spent 45 minutes on Air Force One with the president making the case directly to him that the Paris climate deal was a bad deal. It was bad for Texas. It was bad for jobs. And the president did the right thing, and he pulled us out of the deal. And I gotta say, when you contrast those records, if you work in oil and gas, or if you care about jobs in Texas, you'd have to be out of your mind to vote for a candidate with a record like that. When we've got historic economic growth, when we're seeing record low African American and Hispanic unemployment, who in their right mind would want to mess that up and say, let's go back to the Obama stagnation? That's not good for Texas. How about health care? Health care, I have been proud to have led the fight every day in the Senate to repeal the train wreck, the disaster that is Obamacare. Obamacare has hurt millions of Texans. It was sold to the people of Texas based on a lie. If you like your health insurance plan, you can keep your health insurance plan. Obama said that 28 times. PolitiFact, which leans hard to the left, rated that 2013's lie of the year. That's right. Yep. The biggest way Obamacare has hurt Texans is it's caused health insurance premiums to skyrocket. Yeah. Average families' premiums have gone up over $5,000 a year. I hear every day as I travel the state of Texas, Texans who say, I can't afford health insurance. So in repealing Obamacare, which we need to do, our central focus needs to be lower premiums and make health insurance more affordable. Now up here in the DFW area, Beto O'Rourke's got a super PAC that's spending over $1 million running attack ads on health care. Now, set aside for the minute, I seem to recall some guy named Beto saying he didn't believe in super PACs.
Yeah.
But never mind the words that come out of his mouth. So back to the super PAC supporting him that's spending over $1 million in DFW. Yeah. And their attack is simple. They say, Republicans, usually with a deep, ominous voice, Republicans. Cue the Jaws music. Republicans are going to take away protections for pre-existing conditions. Now, I don't have a dictionary with me, but help me on something. When someone says something that they know as a fact to be false, what do you call that? So you need... That's another good one. Those are both pretty good. So you mean, when Beto O'Rourke knows that last year when we were debating Obamacare repeal and I introduced legislation, the Consumer Freedom Act. Consumer Freedom Act said, if a health insurance company provides a plan, provides coverage in a jurisdiction that meets the Title I mandates, that includes pre-existing conditions, that includes everything else, they can also offer any other plans that consumers desire. Now, HHS, the Health and Human Services Agency, they had their experts, their actuaries score the Consumer Freedom Amendment that I introduced. They found that the Consumer Freedom Amendment would increase health insurance coverage by over 2 million people. 2 million additional people would get health care as a result of that. that it would continue to protect pre-existing conditions for everyone with pre-existing conditions, and that it would lower average premiums by over $5,000 a year. Facts matter, and the actual legislative record of what I've submitted makes very clear what I'm fighting for and what Beto's attack ads are saying. Just like when Obama 28 times looked in the TV camera and said, if you like your plan, you can keep your plan. Obama knew that wasn't true, and Beto knows this isn't true.
Yeah.
Where is Beto on health care? Well, he's voted 67 times to keep Obamacare. He's turned a blind eye. He won't listen to the suffering, to the pain that Obamacare is causing the people of Texas. He's not willing to give any relief at all. In fact, he wants to make it worse. You know, sometimes Democrats remind me of, I don't know if you all remember the old Saturday Night Live skit with Christopher Walken, where the solution was more cowbell? So Obamacare is a partial takeover of health care. It doesn't work, and it causes everyone to suffer. And liberal Democrats like Beto, they say, more cowbell, more cowbell. The solution is take it over even more. His solution is full-on socialized medicine. Putting the federal government in charge of your health care and your doctor. Now that would result in death. Yes. In rationing, in waiting lines, in scarcity. You know, in the United Kingdom, the average waiting time for hip replacement is about 90 days. In Canada, the average waiting time for hip replacement is about 200 days. Every year, about 50,000 people come down from Canada to get health care here because the supposedly free health care up there, they won't let them get it. No more cowbell. There you go. And his solution also is to put everyone on Medicare. Medicare for all is their poll-tested solution. Now let's see. Medicare is something that seniors, you spend your life paying into. 20, 30, 40 years, you earn Medicare by paying into it to earn it. What Beto's proposing doing is taking 200 million people, many of whom have never paid into Medicare, including illegal aliens, and putting them all on Medicare for free. It ain't complicated what would happen there. It would bankrupt Medicare. Medicare as we know it would go away under Beto O'Rourke's plan, and instead it would become Medicaid for all. It would become a welfare program that doesn't provide you the health care you need.
That's the welfare state.
We ain't going to let that happen. How about the Supreme Court? I have been proud to lead the fight to confirm Justice Neil Gorsuch and Justice Brett Kavanaugh. For every one of us who cares about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, who cares about free speech and religious liberty, who cares about the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms, or as Beto calls it, the what? Who cares about the 10th Amendment right for the federal government to leave us the hell alone? It is the courts that are at the crossroads between either upholding or tearing down those rights. And I gotta say, the behavior of Senate Democrats during the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings was one of the saddest and sorriest chapters in the history of the Senate. It became obvious Senate Democrats, they weren't interested in fairness. They weren't interested in truth or trying to find out what happened. They weren't interested in due process. Instead, they were willing to go into the gutter and traffic in any and every uncorroborated allegation in order to smear Judge Kavanaugh and his family. And I think millions of Americans turned on their television sets, saw what was happening, and said that conduct has no business happening in the United States Senate. And for the record, I am not Spartacus.
We still love you.
But you know, if Beto O'Rourke had been in the Senate, he'd have happily put on the toga and joined the Spartacus circus. How about Israel? For the last 6 years, I have been proud to be the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate. And today, our embassy in Israel is in Jerusalem, the once and eternal capital of Israel. I urged the president to move the embassy to Jerusalem, and President Trump made the bold and courageous decision. And the day the embassy opened, I was there in Jerusalem for the opening of the embassy. So where's Beto on Israel? That's pretty much it. He has got the most anti-Israel record of any Democratic Senate nominee in the country. So let's talk specifics. In 2014, when Hamas was raining rockets down on Israel, Beto O'Rourke became one of eight members of the House of Representatives to vote against funding Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. The Iron Dome was at that exact moment saving countless men, women, and children from Hamas rockets. Virtually every Republican voted yes. Virtually every Democrat voted yes. Nancy Pelosi voted yes. Maxine Waters voted yes. Beto O'Rourke voted no. That's how extreme he was, standing up and saying he would not stand with Israel. We've got new Hallmark greeting cards being written right here in Fort Worth today. And then there's immigration. There is no race in the country with a starker divide on immigration than the United States Senate race here in the state of Texas. You mean the people of Texas believe in border security? You mean the people of Texas want a wall? You mean the people of Texas want to stop the caravan? Well, I'll tell you what, that's what the people of Texas believe all across this great state. And on my end, I am incredibly proud to have received the formal endorsement of the National Border Patrol Council, the union of the men and women who risk their lives securing the border. Where's Beto O'Rourke on immigration?
He wants to open the borders for everybody.
That's pretty much it. It is bad. Not only
Send him across the border.
does he oppose the wall, but he thinks we have too many border fences and walls already, and he wants to tear down the border walls we already got. On top of that, he supports sanctuary cities. He opposes Kate's Law. I'm the author of Kate's Law in the United States Senate. And Beto voted no.
Hey, Cruz, how many times was that guy deported on Kate's Law?
over and over and over again, far too many times. Look, Kate's Law is the kind of common sense legislation the overwhelming majority of Texans support. It says violent criminals who are deported over and over and over again should face a mandatory minimum prison sentence. If Kate's Law had been on the books, Kate Steinle would still be alive because that criminal who murdered her would have been in federal prison instead of on that pier taking her life. And Beto O'Rourke has said he is, quote, open to, these are his words, open to abolishing ICE. When he got pressed on this, he doubled down. And he said, well, maybe we shouldn't just abolish ICE. Maybe we should abolish the entire Department of Homeland Security. Now listen, that is radical, that is reckless, and it's not Texas. In Texas, we support the men and women of Border Patrol. We support the men and women of ICE. We support the men and women of law enforcement who risk their lives to keep us safe. And we support our military, and we support our veterans. That's who we are as Texans. We don't demonize law enforcement. We don't scapegoat law enforcement. We don't attack law enforcement. You want to know the difference between me and Beto O'Rourke in one sentence? He wants to abolish ICE. I want to abolish the IRS. And it's important to be clear because sometimes our friends with the TV cameras miss this in the back. Wanting to secure the border doesn't mean that you're opposed to immigration. There's a right way to come, a legal way to come, where you wait in line, you follow the rules, and you come to America seeking the American dream. In 1957, when my dad fled Cuba, he came here with nothing. He was 18. He had $100 in his underwear. He washed dishes making 50 cents an hour. But he worked full-time and he paid his way through school. He came here legally, full of hopes and dreams, and that is Texas. That's who we are. You know, there's a joke making the rounds on the internet. It's about this so-called caravan marching north through Mexico. And it's an open letter to the leaders of the caravan. It says, "Dear men and women of the caravan, be advised, we have identified homes that are willing to take you in, that are willing to provide you with free housing and free food and free health care. And don't worry, you don't need to work at all. And each of these homes have helpfully self-identified with a little black and white sign that says Beto." And when you see one of those signs, just walk right up to the door and walk right in. They don't believe in walls, so just walk right in and make yourself at home. By the way, I joked, I don't know, a week or two ago. I said on the caravan, breaking news, Beto has flown down to Mexico to lead the caravan. And then I had to tell the reporters, okay, that's what's called a joke. I'm not actually saying it's true. But then I followed up, but what is true is he's gone down to the border with welcome baskets and foot massages. Now, that also I had to say was a joke, or at least I thought it was a joke. Until a video broke this morning of his campaign staffers taking campaign money and apparently using it to give it to people coming here illegally. So maybe the welcome baskets, the joke was exactly what they were doing. Let me tell you, look, there are radicals on the left who want to tear down our laws. By the way, Beto has not answered the simple question. Should we allow this caravan to cross illegally into the state of Texas? My answer, and the answer of millions of Texans, is absolutely not.
No.
And Beto's answer is, hey, have you seen me skateboard? But substance matters. And Beto O'Rourke is the only Senate Democrat in the country to explicitly come out in favor of impeaching President Trump. And he has said he would vote right now, today, to impeach Donald Trump.
Yeah, this ain't got really clear.
So that underscores the stakes of this election. Two fundamental paths for our country and for Texas. The first path, I want to call the Alpha path. The Alpha path, common sense conservatives in Tarrant County and all across Texas and all across the country, we show up in big, big numbers. And we hold the House and we substantially grow our majority in the Senate. And then we come back next year and we continue keeping our promises. We cut taxes even more. We simplify the tax code even more. We repeal even more job-killing regulations. And we see millions more new jobs in the state of Texas. We see wages going up. We see opportunity expanding. And we build the wall. And we confirm even more strong constitutionalist judges to the Supreme Court and to the federal courts. That's the Alpha path. There's a second path that I'm going to call the Beto path. That was a Greek joke there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Look, I'm a PK. You tell a Greek joke every now and then. The Beto path begins in January 2019 with Nancy Pelosi being sworn in as Speaker of the House. The day that Pelosi gets the Speaker's gavel, impeachment proceedings begin on President Trump. That same day, Democrats begin impeachment proceedings on Justice Brett Kavanaugh. That same day, they launch a dozen investigations of every federal agency with scores of subpoenas, all designed with one objective: to utterly and completely paralyze the federal government, to destroy the Trump administration, and to stop every bit of the positive progress we've seen the last 2 years, to stop all the reg reform that's producing jobs, to stop our efforts rebuilding the military and defeating our enemies, all of that to be replaced with a partisan bloodbath. It'd be Mad Max at Thunderdome. By the way, in this telling, Beto O'Rourke plays the part of Tina Turner.
Yeah.
And my question for you,
Yeah, where's the dress? Where's the dress?
I didn't say that.
He wears the dress.
That underscores the stakes of this election. And my question to you is, seeing the federal government utterly paralyzed for 2 years in a partisan circus, stopping all the positive progress we're making, is that good for the people of Texas? Then we've got a job to do. Because we know the hard left, they're angry.
Yes.
They're energized. They're filled with rage and hatred for President Trump.
They're not angry, they're demons.
And it's resulting in two things. Number one, tens of millions of dollars flooding into the state of Texas. Beto O'Rourke, despite the fact that he's running hard left, he's running like Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren. He's the #1 Democratic fundraiser in the country. And he's raised over $70 million as Hollywood liberals and liberals all over the country are doing everything they can to try to turn Texas blue.
Money does not equal votes.
It doesn't, but I'll give you an example of something I read this morning in terms of field staff. Our campaign has paid field staff, I believe it is 18 paid field staff. The O'Rourke campaign has, I think the number was 702 paid field staff. That's what $70 million does, is you hire 702 field staff instead of 18.
Yes. Oh.
So I want to ask everyone here
You have us.
to do 4, amen, and I'd much rather be with you.
Yeah! We love you, Ted!
I want to ask everyone here to do 4 things. Number 1, speak out. Use your voice. Speak out for why low taxes, low regulations, and lots of jobs, why that matters to you. For why it matters to secure the border and stop sanctuary cities. Why it matters to defend the Constitution and Bill of Rights. Young people, use your voices. Speak out on social media for why freedom matters to you. What young person in your right mind would possibly want your life governed by a bunch of unelected bureaucrats in Washington? You should be the one deciding about your future, your hopes, your dreams. You making the decision and not Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Number 2, contribute. We are being outraised and outspent 3-1. I want to ask every one of you when you get home today, go to our website, tedcruz.org. 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 And make a contribution. Some of y'all have brought your checkbooks. Now, for you young people, when you get home, you can Google to see what a checkbook is. For those of y'all who brought your checkbooks, we have campaign staff that can take a check. All right, we got one there. We got one there. We got one there. We've got several in the back there. We've got one there. But by the way, we did this in East Texas a couple of weeks ago. 3 guys at the back of the bar, they raised their hand. I'll take a check. So don't give a check to just some random guy that, wants to get the new paint job on his truck. But I guarantee you, every penny that you contribute to our campaign will go directly to informing and mobilizing and turning out common sense conservatives all across Texas.
Praise somebody, baby.
Praise God. Praise God.
Number 3, vote.
Already did for you, brother.
Early voting is still going on. How many of y'all have already early voted? That is phenomenal. Let me ask every hand that didn't go up. Today is the last day of early voting. I'm going to ask you, when you leave this rally, just go get in your car and drive to the polls and get it done today. Don't put it off. Just go vote today, the last day of early voting. You can vote at any polling place in Fort Worth. You can vote, and then Election Day is Tuesday. So you can either vote today or you can vote Tuesday. I say get it done today, because the 4th thing I want to ask you to do is between now and Tuesday, I want you to do everything you can to get your friends, your family, your neighbors, your loved ones, get others to come out and vote as well. Look, this election is going to be decided not by people who are living and dying on politics, not by people who are listening to talk radio and watching Fox News and are up, know every battle of it. This race is going to be decided by the regular Texan. The man or woman that goes to work every day, the economy's booming, things are going well, they go to church, they raise their kids. They're feeling really good about things. They're voters who historically show up in a presidential race and typically stay home in a midterm election. This election will be decided on if those voters turn out, because the hard left is so energized, they're all going to turn out. Which means we need Texans across this state, common sense conservatives, to show up and vote our values. I'm going to close with 2 words of encouragement. Those are 2 great words of encouragement. Number 1, this is now the 43rd town hall or rally we've done in the last 6 weeks. At just about every one of them, people come up to me at the end and they say, Ted, I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat my whole life, and I'm with you. And let me tell you why. For a long, long time, Texas has had millions of conservative Democrats, millions of moderate Democrats. They're now looking at the National Democratic Party that is getting so radical, that is getting so extreme, that it's going bat crap crazy. Actually, the doctors here will confirm that's a technical medical diagnosis. It's in the medical dictionary under B. But when Texas conservative Democrats, when they see national Democrats like Beto O'Rourke calling for impeaching the president, or when they see national Democrats like Beto O'Rourke talking about abolishing ICE, for millions of Texas conservative and moderate Democrats, they're saying, there's no longer a home for me in that party. Walk away. Amen.
Yeah.
So I want to take a minute here to speak to every conservative Democrat here and at home, to speak to every moderate Democrat, to speak to every independent, and to speak to every libertarian. Come join us. We welcome you with open arms. If you believe in low taxes, low regulations, and lots of jobs, if you want to defend the Constitution and Bill of Rights, then come join a common sense supermajority across the state of Texas. And number 2, we are going to win this race. And let me tell you how I know. Because this is Texas. And it is in our DNA, when liberty is threatened, to rise to defend it. The men and women here and all of our friends and colleagues are going to come out and vote, and are going to vote straight ticket Republican to win up and down the ballot, to win legislative races, congressional races, local races, judicial races. Nearly 2 centuries ago, when the citizens of Gonzales received a demand from General Santa Anna, hand over your guns and hand over the cannon that guards your city. The Texians responded with a battle cry that echoes throughout the ages. Come and take it! That is Texas. That is who we are. When liberty is threatened, Texas rises to defend it. We rise to defend the Constitution, and we rise to defend the United States.